Hello and welcome to Relate and Illuminate. I'm so excited to be here with my dear friend Lisa Mills. Welcome.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, this is our second podcast, and we're going to have this is going to be two parts because it's a lot to talk about. It's really exciting, and it's about filmmaking in this time. Okay, so we've had many conversations. Well, Lisa's a film scholar. I mean, so I said, I have to get her involved in this conversation because I have a lot of opinions about it, but she knows about it and she's had to research. She still teaches it. And there's so many changes taking place. But one of the opinion I had, because I consume a lot of content, and what I have felt is that there is so much violence. You know, I did something on gratuitous nudity. Well, this one is what I call gratuitous violence.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like movies have become theme park rides. They're all about adrenaline now, these action films. And, you know, even dramas feel like they have to have, every drama's got to have some sort of a chase scene or some kind of those chase scenes actually to me are quite violent. I mean, when you get out on the highway and you're driving around now in real life, you know, there's so much going on now with drivers who are driving and didn't realize what a social task driving is.
Oh, yeah.
And so just a car chase scene to me gets my adrenaline going. And it's hard to find any kind of drama now that doesn't have some sort of a chase scene in it. So I think that it's just that the audience expectations now are for this adrenaline fueling that these movies are doing through all kinds of special effects and stunts.
Right, right. And with that, you just made a great point. I didn't even think about that. And what about video games?
Oh, yeah. You know, you have this younger generation that has grown up playing them. I mean, really, it's middle age now, people in their 40s and 50s that have been playing video games for a couple of decades. And I wonder if it's desensitized us to the point where, you know, we don't even recognize when violence is happening. It feels like just a part of the game of life.
Absolutely. We're desensitized for sure, because that's why we're seeing all these movies that have this terrible violence. So let's talk about a few of them.
Sure.
The one that really stuck out is Sinners. That was one. There's several. But Sinners, no spoiler alerts. We're not going to, do that. But what I like to say about it, and then I want to hear what you say about it. But I couldn't even get through the preview. I started seeing vampires, and it's just violent and blood and guts, and it starts out, really cool about culture, and there was a good song in there and very gospel and cultural, and but then it just turns.
Well, it has me asking the question of why the filmmaker felt that it was important to bring in the horror element. It's very much a genre bending movie
Anyway,
and why I've thought about this a lot was the director trying to attract the younger audience. You know, horror films right now are the most popular genre, the most money-making genre.
Really?
So did the director feel that bringing horror into this would be a good way to bring younger people, horror fans, into the theater? Or did he feel like it was the best way to convey the movie's theme, cultural appropriation? If you think about the vampire motif, then that in certainly in the way that it's a predator, the predatory nature of vampires, predatory on Black culture.
Right.
So we don't know exactly what the filmmaker was thinking. It could have been a combination of those things, but I wonder now, this has been so successful, how many drama movies will now contain these horror elements as well.
Yeah. so that was Sinners. Now there's One Battle After Another. And I got into that, and I'm sorry to say, and I think I'm going to go back and look at it after what you've told me about it, but I didn't get into it very far, and it just, again, the violence, and it was a little too close to reality about where this country could go. So what's your take on One Battle After Another?
It threw me back to the 1970s films like Dog Day Afternoon that were really shocking for their time and the amount of violence. And also, you can't forget Bonnie and Clyde, which was, if you want to say, groundbreaking violent film.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a sign of our times where, this extreme violence, extreme actions, extreme political statements, that art, I think, always reflects where our culture is at any given moment. And so it had me thinking back to some of those 1970s classic films where you had the uphill battle, the underdog, that was trying to face off with the government. I mean, you had All the President's Men, and so many movies in the 70s that were criticizing the government of that time, and I think we're seeing that come around again.
Yeah, and I don't mind that because it's political awareness, but it's just, does it have to come with so much violence?
Well, everything is so extreme now.
Yeah.
The rhetoric in our country is so hyperbolic. It's like more is always more. I mean, that is where we are right now on every level of our society, from consumerism to arts and culture to political rhetoric. More is more.
Yeah. That's a good point. The last one I want to mention, then we're going to turn the tables to a more different take on movies, and that is Marshals. And Marshals is, I mean, the preview alone, it's got everybody shooting everybody. I mean, just bullets and, AR-15s or whatever they're called. I don't know, but it's just so ridiculous. And they're real people and real neighborhoods and, I don't know. It's just, I'm like, that's not really happening, is it? But maybe it is. I don't know.
So it sounds like they're at war with each other.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing right now is a real end to diplomacy. People can't talk things through anymore. They can't work out their differences. They're going to pull out guns, and they're going to start a war, and they're going to fight it out. And this is where we are again in our society right now.
That's right, because nobody can come together and discuss things. They just have to be haters and point fingers and stuff like that.
Right.
And I thought about the Hatfields and McCoys, which was an old, movie, and it's about two families that fight it out.
So is Marshall's trying to make a statement that's anti-war or pro-war? Or is it trying to make any statement at all about it? Is it just a reflection of where we are without really any comment about it?
I think it's more about where we are and the wars within our communities and territories and stuff like that. But, it's disturbing. These violent films to me are disturbing for people to watch.
In American culture, it always seems like we've embraced, not maybe embraced isn't the right word, but we've accepted violence in our arts more so than we've accepted sex. And of course, the Europeans make fun of us for that. But yeah, with Americans, there's just something about our culture that has a higher comfort level with the portrayal of violence than we do with the portrayal of sex.
Yeah.
Sex, when you watch it, becomes very uncomfortable in American culture.
It does. And years ago, I remember when the original Romeo and Juliet came out. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And she shows its full breast, and people went ape over that. And I'm like,
Well, think about
Get up
Janet
and-
Jackson's wardrobe malfunction
Oh,
during the
right.
Super Bowl. The
Right.
big hubbub over that. No
Right.
big deal. The Europeans making fun of us over that.
Oh, absolutely. And one European said, "Don't you look in the mirror every morning, women?" So anyway, so now we're going to take a turn to realistic movies about real people, real stories. Not that these others may not be real, but they're just over the top to me. And one is we both saw Jay Kelly. And this is a really good film if you haven't seen it. It's got George Clooney. It's got Adam Sandler. He's excellent in this. But it's a real story about a person that's very much like Clooney's career. He's done everything, you know, in terms of movies. And he's sort of at the pinnacle of his career, maybe towards the, you know, latter part of it. But he's had regrets because it came with sacrifices.
Yes, I think that, you know, the character of Jay Kelly is showing us what it means to be famous. You know, the sacrifices that are made there. He looks back, he's not really sure where his real life was. He ultimately feels very isolated. And his counterpart, Ron, his agent, played by Adam Sandler, he's the real human in the story, and he's sort of showing us what it's like to be loyal. What is loyalty really about? And so ultimately, you see Ron, the agent, is the more real person than Jay Kelly, the famous actor, who's really only lived his life in movies.
Right. No, I love that. And it you know, there's some pushback on both their parts because his agent is trying to steer him in a good, you know, direction. And Clooney's always done it differently. And he makes sacrifices to his family life and all kind of things. But there's an element in there that's so cool that we've talked about. And that, you know, a lot of times in movies you have flashbacks of the past. Well, the way they handled that is Noah Baumbach is an incredible director, but they had Clooney step into another set of the past. And it was brilliant filmmaking, and it was all live action. There's just, I mean, we never know what we can trust, what we see, but I mean, it just looks so authentic. There's one of the kitties.
Well, it has a large budget, so I'm sure that Baumbach was able to afford to build the two sets that were adjacent to each other. If you think about smaller budget films, though, and independent films, the technology is going to take us to where they can create things like that on a volume that are going to look just as real as building a real set at a margin of the price. So I think it's really cool that they had the resources to make the two sets adjacent to each other, and he stepped from one into the other. But I think that, you know, that's going to probably be replaced by technology in the future. I was listening to a podcast about the movie Lawrence of Arabia. Anybody who's old enough to have been able to have seen that movie. And it's just incredible, you know, the number of extras, and they shot it really out in the desert and all of that. And I just don't think we're going to be seeing many films made that way much anymore. So I got to hand it to Baumbach for Jay Kelly and doing it the old-fashioned way.
Right. No, I agree. And there was one other that I saw recently that was, well, there's two, but Sentimental Value. It was nominated for a couple of awards, and what it's about is the estrangement of father-daughter. And don't want to spoil it for you, but again, real stories about real people. And it actually ends on a high note. And that's, you know, it's not like the typical love story and, you know, happy ending and rom-com and all that, but it's just a real story about real people and the, you know, problems they have, but can they resolve it? And this ends on a positive note. It's not like happy-go-lucky. They're skipping down,
But there's hope.
Yeah, there's hope. That's right.
So should we talk about DTF St. Louis
Yes.
with real people problems and situations again? I felt like this series was really innovative and took the audience in new places, and that's what I appreciated about it. It was a very deep exploration of friendship and also, again, of loyalty, and what can happen when you maybe take it a bit too far. And unfortunately, it didn't have such an uplifting ending to the end of that series. We won't do a spoiler here, but I would highly recommend that people explore DTF St. Louis, definitely for mature audiences.
Yep.
Quite a bit of sex in there, but it's gritty, it's real, and it explores some very contemporary themes and goes in places that I think were very brave.
I agree. And it's fine acting with Jason Bateman and a few other actors that I've seen and admire. And the connection
Right.
that's made between these two men that really love each other without worrying about being homosexual. They're not, and yet they want to be there for each other. And but again, it kind of goes a little far.
Yes, there's a triangle involved that really makes you wonder, but what's going on all around us right now, but I think it makes it feel very real. So I would recommend people examine it.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing was Crime 101. Speaking of violence, it's got minimal violence in it, but it's one of those ones that, shows that you can have some violence, but you don't have to go, you don't have to go over the top with it. And there's still a great story there. And there's another good, fine acting in there.
Understated acting, which is a rare thing these days, and also a limited amount of dialogue. It almost felt European. There was so little dialogue in the film. I appreciated that.
Yeah, because it gives us a chance to think and process and get into the character and what they're thinking. I had a lot of compassion for Halle Berry's character because she lives in a man's world. And
some things about age, being a woman of a certain age.
Ageism, absolutely. So good themes in that one.
Yes.
So if you want some violence, that might be one to do. Hello, little Minka. Let me show you this, baby. Hello, darling. Anyway, so we're going to sign off on this one, but we're going to continue on with the state of technology and AI and everything that goes with
the industry today.
The industry and where we're going.
Yes.
Okay. So don't go anywhere. See you on the next episode.